What? The target is a human? No, I heard what you said, but there's no way in the galaxy anyone could be that monumentally stupid. I was led to believe that the Blackhand assassins could eliminate anyone. Keep that name out of your thrice-damned mouth around here. We had to abandon that title after an unfortunate deal with the Delphin Empire years ago. I don't care about any empire. I want you to kill a human. The assassin's mandibles clicked in irritation. We don't take contracts to kill humans. Then I'll just hire someone else. You can try, the assassin said with a dry chuckle. But none of the other guilds in the galaxy will take that job. And even if you found some foolhardy independent, they wouldn't succeed. Either they'd die trying or betray you before the job was done. You can't seriously believe humans are unkillable. I never said they were unkillable. Quite the contrary, I know for a fact they can die. But no assassin worth their blade would take the risk. Why not? Because the only way to kill a human and live long enough to enjoy the payment is to drop a neutron bomb on them from orbit, just to be certain. Then, you'd better have the fastest ship in the sector and flee before the rest of the humans find out what you did. After that, I'd suggest leaving the galaxy entirely. You're joking. Tell me, the assassin leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. Does your homeworld have compulsory education? What does that have to do with anything? Humor me. Yes, 10 years of state-mandated schooling. Sounds about right. Did they teach you galactic history? Some. Then they must have skipped the most important lesson. Sit down, order a drink, and I'll tell you why no sane assassin will take a contract on a human. The drinks arrived, and the assassin took a long, deliberate sip before continuing. You recall the Delphin Empire? Yes. What of it? Do you know what happened to them? Their empire collapsed after wasting too many resources trying to conquer a death world. The assassin smirked. That death world was the human cradle world. But it wasn't the planet that broke the Delphin, it was the humans. How? The assassin exhaled, shaking his head. The Delphin Empire once ruled this half of the galaxy. Hundreds of species were either subjugated or annihilated. Their philosophy was simple, serve or die. The Galactic Council, which oversaw the remaining free systems, could do little more than posture, beg, and bicker while the Delphin war machine devoured system after system. It seemed inevitable that they would control the entire galaxy. Then they arrived at a system its inhabitants called Sol. It wasn't claimed by any known civilization, so the Delphin let the name stand. The third planet in the system, Earth, was home to a newly spacefaring species, humans. The humans were fractured into independent nation-states, which made them easy prey. The Delphin legions struck swiftly, using communication jammers to prevent coordination. Despite their technological disadvantage, the humans fought back with a ferocity that surprised even the Delphin. The invasion took an entire galactic standard month, an eternity for a pre-FTL conquest. Once resistance was crushed, the usual process followed. Surviving humans were divided into labor groups. Many were skilled farmers and ranchers, so they were put to work feeding the empire. The strongest were sent off-world for grueling labor in the mines. The Delphin believed they had won. Normally, a conquered species follows a pattern: initial resistance, brief compliance, then uprisings within a decade. The Delphin had perfected the art of suppression, and rebellions never lasted long. But the humans? They didn't rise up. Not immediately. For 20 Earth years, they toiled under Delphin rule. They worked, obeyed, and bred. The Delphin encouraged high birth rates, thinking it would provide an endless supply of labor. What they failed to see was that the humans weren't growing workers. They were raising an army. The human leadership that had supposedly surrendered? They were a facade. The real rulers had gone underground, literally. Hidden training camps, covert schools, smuggled technology, all preparing for the day they would strike back. Then, when the Delphin war front was light years away, the signal was given. It started small. A miner strike in a mine. A rancher reporting a mysterious livestock plague. A factory explosion. Then entire regions erupted. The country of France, known for its history of rebellion, led the charge, shouting "Vive la Revolution!" as its citizens took to the streets. Weapons disappeared from armories. Grav tanks failed to start, later found to have been stripped of their components. The Delphin dismissed it all as minor disruptions. They thought assassins like us could restore order. They never realized the storm that was coming. The assassin leaned back, eyes shadowed by memory. That was the beginning of the end for the Delphin Empire. The humans didn't just rebel, they annihilated their oppressors. Within a decade, the Delphin homeworld was in flames. Within 2, their empire was nothing but ruins. He finished his drink, setting the glass down with a soft clink. So tell me again, why do you think anyone would be foolish enough to take a contract on a human? The Empire paid a tidy sum for that contract, I can tell you that. The planet of the humans, dirt, I think they call it, has at least 3 times the galactic average gravity. Every agent we sent had to be fitted with a grav-assist suit and spend a week acclimating just to function. At first, our operatives believed the human rebels were ghosts. They could see the aftermath of sabotage, destroyed supply lines, vanished patrols, disrupted communications, but never any evidence of who was responsible. They would patrol the streets, only for them to mysteriously empty moments before an explosion ripped through the area, sometimes taking the agent with it. One of our operatives lost a close friend and, in his rage, stormed into an unrelated town, executing civilians who couldn't answer his questions. By the 3rd execution, the locals had enough. A mob overwhelmed him and tore him apart. I can't even blame the Delpan for refusing to pay the death fee on that one. Our contract was to suppress riots, not incite them. The mission was spiraling out of control. We were eliminating humans with the surgical precision we were renowned for, but what good was payment if we couldn't even make it off-world to spend it? Before long, walking the surface without heavy Delpan military escort became suicide. The humans struck without warning, then vanished like smoke. In one instance, an agent chasing a rebel into the African savanna was ambushed, not by humans, but by a pride of great feline predators, intentionally lured into their hunting grounds. We lost an uncountable number of operatives to their canine companion species alone. And the less said about the death trap they call Australia, the happier I shall be. One by one, regional administrative centers fell silent. Then another. By the time the Delpan nobles took notice, it was too late. The entire planet had gone dark. And not just dirt, wherever humans had been taken as forced labor, the same pattern of resistance emerged. One can only assume they had been quietly fomenting rebellion among the other slave species. How they managed to coordinate across the vast void of space remains a mystery. Yes, the Delpan did maintain a presence in orbit, patrol fleets specifically designed to suppress such uprisings. But those, too, fell silent. Humans had infiltrated their ranks, hijacked ships, or outright destroyed them. Without Delpan oversight, the humans revealed what they had been building in secret, vast manufactories producing components for spaceports and, eventually, warships. Launch facilities hidden from Delpan eyes hurled vessels into orbit by the thousands of tons each day. By the time the first proper response fleet arrived, it was no match for the navy the humans had cobbled together using stolen Delpan technology. The Delpan were victims of their own hubris. Each time they lost a patrol, they sent another. They were too obsessed with expansion to recognize the rot within their empire. When the Delpan Empire finally mustered the strength to pull a conquest fleet from the front lines, human forces had already liberated their homeworld and the next 3 occupied systems in every direction. But when the fleet arrived 10 systems out from Sol, they did not face just humans. They faced an armada of every species the Delpan had ever subjugated. After that devastating defeat, the Delpan Emperor must have been panicked. His fleets were spread thin across the galaxy, and the humans were positioned between him and his own armies. Desperation set in. He ordered all forces to withdraw, to abandon the front lines and regroup at the imperial capital. mercenary guilds, including ours, were summoned to assist. By then, we had lost nearly 2/3 of our numbers. We refused. It was the only reason we survived. The humans had spent decades perfecting the art of infiltration, sabotage, and assassination. 7 other elite assassin guilds were wiped out, caught and executed before they even knew they had been compromised. We saw the writing on the wall. No sum of money was worth the suicide mission the Delpan were proposing. As the Empire consolidated, the humans expanded. They spread like wildfire, system by system, freeing the enslaved, rallying the oppressed, turning the galaxy against the Delpan. Everywhere they went, rebellion erupted. The remaining free powers, nations and councils that had resisted Delpan conquest, saw an opportunity and sided with the humans. The galaxy burned. Delpan fleets, now isolated and cut off from their supply lines, turned on themselves. Conquest fleets sent from the imperial capital never made it far before being ambushed and annihilated. The humans fought like they had on their homeworld, striking without warning, disappearing into the void. False distress signals. EMP mines hidden in wreckage fields. Traps set in abandoned stations. No tactic was beneath them, so long as it destroyed the enemy. By the time the human-led coalition reached Delpan Prime, they found the once mighty empire in ruin, its fleet fractured, its forces starving, its commanders turning on each other. When the human admiral hailed the battered armada, offering terms of surrender, they barely hesitated. And then, with the war won, the humans unleashed their most feared weapon. Lawyers. The Delpan Emperor was dragged from his throne. Every noble, every administrator, every slaver who had ever oppressed another sapient being was put on trial, not executed on the spot, as the Delpan would have done, but subjected to a slow, methodical, and devastating legal reckoning. By the time the trials concluded, the emperor had died of old age in custody, and his successor was forced to atone for the crimes of his predecessors. The Delpan Empire was shattered. What remained was a handful of backwater systems in the far reaches of the galactic southern arm. Many feared that the humans would continue their march, seizing the galaxy for themselves. But within a year of victory, they had dismantled over half their fleet, scattering the rest for peacekeeping and anti-piracy operations. As for us, we were lucky. The humans understood that we had broken our contract. They let us live, on the condition that the Blackhand Assassins Guild be permanently dissolved. But do not mistake their mercy for weakness. They cut us down to 1/3 of our original number before they even left their homeworld. We were the most feared assassins in the galaxy, and now we are nothing more than scattered individuals working in the shadows. So understand this, young one. We do not kill humans. If you kill one, their family will hunt you. If you kill their family, their entire species will hunt you. And you had better pray they find you quickly, because if their lawyers get their hands on you, your own people may be forced to execute you as an apology. I had no idea. That is painfully obvious. The assassin leaned back, studying his drink. I don't usually pry into a client's business, but what exactly did this human do to offend you? They insulted my broodmate. The assassin burst into laughter. That's all? Then insult them back. Hell, punch them in the face if it makes you feel better. But, you said we don't kill humans. We don't. But those crazy apes love to fight, with words as well as fists. You'll have a better chance of survival that way. Honestly, you probably couldn't even physically hurt them, but if you explain why you're offended, they might even apologize. They would do that? They are monsters on the battlefield and demons when wronged. But they are not uncivilized. If they were, they wouldn't have rebuilt the Galactic Council into what it is today. They hold the head chair position and will likely do so for generations. They are harsh, but fair. The assassin drained his glass, staring at the empty vessel. Now then. Unless you're buying me another drink, I think we're done here.